Hi, Tony here at Views from the Man Cave, and today we're going to do a quick video to show you how to fit a replacement brake fluid reservoir on the Triumph Street Twin. The cylinder I chose was from Italian manufacturer Rizoma. This is the CT027B brake fluid reservoir in black to match my bars. This is a very nice CNC anodized reservoir with an inspection chamber as well. I had looked at fitting one of the direct mount ones that go straight into the caliper, but I'd heard lots of stories about them leaking, and I know that the Rizoma brand have got a great reputation. So inside the box you get the cylinder itself, and in the foam packaging there is the arm that mounts that, complete with the rubber bush. There is the bolt to bolt the cylinder to the arm, and also there is, if you needed a thinner or a replacement nozzle, there's another one of those in the packaging as well, along with the instructions. So usual high quality item and packaging from Rizoma. Let's get onto the bike and I'll show you how quick and easy this is to fit. Okay, so I've got my tools to hand. Obviously the most important thing is to cover up the bike as much as you can. Obviously brake fluid is very corrosive. If you drip that on any of your paintwork, it's going to take the paint off in no time at all. Here is the replacement Rizoma pot. So slightly taller but narrower, but just hopefully a cleaner look. And this should be a fairly straightforward swap. Because this is gravity fed, as long as you don't pump the brake lever to force any air into the system, there should be no need to bleed the brakes. We just need to take this one off, empty the fluid out. Because the bike is relatively new, there's no need to change that fluid. We can just pour it into a clean receptacle, pour that back in, and then it will just be a case of pushing out any air that may have got into this cable here. So let's start by getting this off. Tools required: well, I've got a 6mm Allen key for the bolt that holds the bracket onto the arm here. I've got a cross-headed screwdriver for this bolt that holds the cap on here. I've got a pair of pliers to undo the little spring clip on the hose, and then I've got a 4mm Allen key to be able to mount the new reservoir onto the new bar that comes in the kit. I've started by mounting the arm on the base here, which comes in the kit. It's got a little rubber bung in there, so that's just to make things easier. Okay, so let's get this off. One thing I forgot to mention, actually the bolt, what's going to be the easier way is to take this bolt out to be able to lift that cup up to pour it out, and that is that's affixed on there with a T30 star bolt, so a little mix of bits and pieces, but that's fairly simple. So we just take that star bolt out. That bit gives you the opportunity to take that reservoir off of there. The lid's still on it, so I'll put it just to one side there for the moment. What I can do now is to take this arm off because that's going to be replaced. So I take my 6mm Allen key. And if you remember, this is the bolt that came with the bar and mirror kit that replaced obviously the wing mirror that bolted in there. So again, there's another piece that can go, and I'll just stick that bolt in there so that I don't lose that. So at this point now, if we want to, we can just mount the reservoir. So I think possibly I might want to change this bar here for a black one, but you can see already that that's looking neater than the big plastic one. So the next job now is to take the lid off this, empty the fluid from here into something else, undo this clip here, push this hose and the clip back onto here, top the fluid in there, and we're good to go. Okay, so this is where I'm going to very carefully undo the clip that holds the lid on. Very carefully unscrew take that sealed section out of the middle there, and then into the receptacle that I prepared earlier. Very carefully tip that brake fluid. I'm not going to worry too much about the fluid that's in this hose because I don't want to get too much air in there. So there's the little weeny bit of fluid that comes out. I suspect that when I undo that clip, there'll be a little bit more of that weeps out. So we'll do this very carefully, but you can see there's a clip under here. It's going to take a little bit of persuading to come off because it has been a nice tight fit. And in fact, I think I may use a rag to get to this. There we go. And by holding that fluid, by holding this cable up here, you probably can't see in the camera, but you can. There's probably 4 or 5 millimeters of air, I suppose, if you like, got into that. So what I need to do now is very carefully now trying to keep as much of that in there as possible. Push that onto the new reservoir. Bingo. No spillage, that's good. I can position that clip now back on there nice and tightly. I'll push it around so it's underneath, and there we have it. So that is essentially the swap over done. This is a nice tight seal on here. As I say, there would be a little bit of air in this section here. But that leaves me then to just remove the top of this and make sure that keeps screwed. You can actually see there's a little bit, well, you can't see, but there's a little bit of fluid that's gone into that. I can tip the remainder of this fluid in, and what that's indicating to me, where that fits, that is probably does need a little bit of a top up, because it's about on the halfway level, so I would put a little bit of extra .4 fluid in there. And once I've got this on here, I'll just push that hose, and as I'm doing that, there's a few air bubbles that are coming up into the cylinder. Now that's got all the air bubbles out of that. Putting the rubber bung on the inside, and then carefully screwing that lid on nice and tight, and that's it. That's the change. So I think quite a neat job. I may potentially put a shorter arm on this, but let me just tighten all these bits up, get rid of the cloth, and you can have a look and see what it looks like now it's done.